sorry, I didn't open that door. I guess I could open that door.
Good. You can quick.
It was a relatively tough day of heat, wind, and elevation gain. Late in the afternoon stood an extraordinarily steep mountain with a fire road on the top. While I scanned the mountain to find the regular road that would take us over the mountain south, a car appeared on the fire road. First I thought, what the heck's the car doing on the fire road? Then the old heart skipped a beat when it realized the truth. That was no fire road. It was ours. Suddenly my mouth was bone dry. The only way we could make it up this grade would be if this were our family. Can we do it? Solomon asked from the back of the tandem. Yeah, we can make it. The cyclometer dipped below 3 miles per hour and continued falling. At 2.3 miles per hour, the thigh muscles unnaturally burn. At 2.2 miles per hour, you can see which individual spokes are not exactly straight. At 2.1 miles per hour, your feet are ready to yank out of the cleats to catch yourself when you don't have enough forward momentum to keep the bike upright. It didn't seem possible that our legs could keep moving. We weren't inching up, we were millimetering up the mountain. I wasn't sure if my aorta or my knees would be the first to blow. If we breathed any deeper, our lungs would have burst out our toes. And with a final grunt, we made it and took in the Powell Promontory. Did Hillary feel prouder when he summited Everest? Of course. But we felt pretty darn good as we caught our breath. A motorcyclist pulled up. "Which direction did you come from?" he asked. "Same as you." "No way." Incredulous can't describe the look he gave us. It verged on horror. By the way, for you youngsters in the back, that's a famous picture. Redone. And for the ulcers, you know, it went on sale today. Did they sell? What did they get for it? They were looking for $80 million. So you guys looking to like get a career? Painting. You got 119 million. I am so giving up teaching. All right. Back to the Yep, piped up Solomon. Yonah, too tired to say anything but grin, was proud. This was tougher than anything thrown at him yet. And he did it. Words were not necessary. His accomplishment said it all. That is pride. In the summer of 2007, my two sons, ages 13 and 9, and my erstwhile wife, Gina, and I, an ordinary family, set off on an extraordinary adventure. We loaded gear on 2 bicycles and a tandem, dipped the rear wheels in the surf of San Francisco's Baker Beach, and began to ride. How did it come to be that Yonah chose to ride a bike across country in lieu of a traditional synagogue bar mitzvah? Guys know who that is. That's me. He didn't have it long. He didn't want to have anything to do with that. No, the ride began with a conversation that 2 of us had when he was in kindergarten. While finishing dinner, little Yonah asked, "Daddy, what happens after you die?" I remember scant little of his early childhood, except for the times when I caused him bodily harm. While changing diapers, I almost sent him to the emergency room twice. The first time I shish kebabbed his delicate baby's butt with a safety pin while pinning his nappy. I pushed and pushed, trying to get the pin through the thick, unyielding cotton. And then it was through, and I closed it.
Ew.
He didn't make a sound at first, but his face had a strange look of surprise, and I know I done a bad thing. No wonder the fire girl was so curious about that. That's a great question, Yonah, and the truth is that no one really knows what happens when a person dies because no dead person has ever come back to tell us. But there are at least 3 ideas that people have. The first is that the part of you that makes you you, your soul, goes to a place like heaven and lives on. The second one says that people are reborn into something different. It's called reincarnation. The third possibility is that when you die, nothing happens. You're dead, and that's the end. The third possibility sounded harsh, and I didn't want to burden a young soul with existential nightmares. So I softened it with, it's like being asleep. Yonah digested it all. I could sense his frontal lobes cogitating. When he finished, he announced, I'm the kind who thinks that when you're dead, you're dead. I'm going to play with Thomas. He climbed off his chair and skipped to his room. I sat dumbfounded because my 5-year-old son was more definite about the nature of life than I was at 39. I was a liberal Jew who had some amorphous faith in a God or higher power imbuing the universe with meaning. But here, as I sat at the dining room table cluttered with junk mail, mismatched dirty socks, and plates smeared with spaghetti remains, I had witnessed the genesis of an atheist. At age 12, the young atheist refused to have a bar mitzvah. But Gina and I insisted that he undergo some kind of rite of passage. So to avoid one Saturday of chanting a dozen lines of Torah, giving a 5-minute speech, and dancing with his grandmother at a party in his honor, Yonah decided to ride a bike across America. We begin here, in San Francisco. We have to climb the Sierra Mountains, the Rocky Mountains, the Ozark Mountains. Now I know some of you are saying the Ozark Mountains aren't much mountains because they only rise 800 feet, but you're wrong. The Ozark Mountains were made without a stick of dynamite. They are completely unleveled. The grades are just like this. It's like being on a self-propelled roller coaster. The Appalachian Mountains. But it wasn't just mountain ranges that we would have to cross. No, 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 no. Summer heat. 2,000 miles of corn. And the humidity that made it seem like you were cycling in a sauna. All to reach Washington, D.C. For a total of, any guesses?
3,000.
That's close.
3,000.
If you guys had read the book, you would know. 3,800, actually 3,804 miles. Okay. Now, most B'nai Mitzvah contain a social action element. Feeling that carbon dioxide buildup was the most important issue facing humanity, we tackled global climate change. The idea was simple. Write a petition, gather 1 million online signatures, and present it to Congress. While arguably the best action an individual can take to arrest global warming is to dig a hole, drive his car into it, and then fill the hole, this idea would not win the day. So the petition focused on the practical, such as improving gas mileage, decreasing car trips, and creating a green energy industry. I imagined a media field day as Yonah would Pied Piper-like lead thousands of cyclists into Washington, D.C. to deliver the 1 million signatures to our political leaders. The glacier of American lethargy on global warming would melt, George Clooney would present us with keys to a brand new Prius. And Angelina Jolie would hand us frosty smoothies made with organic fruit. Since the boys only had the summer, we had a total of 10 weeks to cross the country. That meant 60 miles a day, which for an in-shape adult is a significant ride. We were not only repeating this ride on a daily basis, but we were each carrying 25 pounds of gear strapped to our bikes and climbing the baddest mountains in the country. And we were a regular family in terms of athletes, not the spawn of Lance Armstrong. Our initial training ride was 12 miles to Winners. After 6 miles at a pokey 12-mile-per-hour pace on a flat road and carrying no gear, the boys were kaput. While they took 10 minutes to rest, eat, drink, and complain, I calculated. We needed to cover 60 miles a day. At this pace, plus gear, plus mountains, Greenland would be exporting pineapples by the time we roll into Washington, D.C. This was the reality check that we had bitten off too much. There was no way. We needed to amend the trip. San Francisco to Los Angeles was 400 miles, and with a little bit of luck, it might be doable. Yet to change the trip would be to admit failure. All those naysayers who pronounced no way when we announced our plan could now crow, "I told you you were crazy." To admit I was wrong and they were right? Never. We had told everyone that we were going to ride cross country, and damn it, no matter what, we would do it. It took almost a year of training to prepare. So what was the trip like? Gina began each day belting out, "On the road again, just can't wait to get on the road again," followed by her declaration of exuberance. "I can't believe I get to go on a bike ride today." We'd smile at our crazy mother / deranged wife, and then be off. Solomon, whose genetic makeup is Gina heavy, began his own morning ritual. For a better part of a year, whenever Solomon ate chicken, he would salute it and proclaim, "Gracias, gallina." It was something he picked up from his Spanish immersion school. Thus, the morning cacophony for